Hello to everyone. I was making an interesting comparison between the elections in the United Kingdom and the elections in France. However, in both countries, all the leftists are chanting for the victory. Actually, in France, even though the leftists or the lefty have won, the manifestation of that victory has been quite violent. And in Paris, there had been a lot of riots that seemed actually at the opposite, a manifestation of having lost. Anyway, probably it's in their nature to be a little bit violent. That's a question that we could raise. Anyway, two electoral systems opposed one to the other. In the particular case of the election in England, there is what is called a uninominal one-turn system, which means that the candidate that has one vote is elected. In France, they have an extremely complex system that it works in a double turn, but not in the traditional double turn. It's a double turn that could foresee also more than two candidates. Actually, there are jurisdictions where it can be even more than three, because all the candidates that were able to get 12.5% in the first election run also in the second. So, if we compare the winning party, in case of England, he won around 34% of the popular vote and a great majority, or a very important majority, in the House of Commons. At the opposite, if we go to France, we see that the winning party, with 27% of the vote, got 180 elected members. But it is very interesting that the third party, which is the Marine Le Pen party, with 37% of the vote, was just number 3. So the first two coalitions against Marine Le Pen were able to win together around 340 seats on the parliament. What does that mean? It means that, for example, as I said, the first group had 27%, and it was the one that won the most, 178 seats. The second one, the centrist of Macron, with 22%, won 150 seats. And the National Rally, with 37% of the vote, 142, which represent around 22% of the seats. And it is, right now, for the next 5 years, out of the game. So, is that a democracy, or maybe it's not that democratic? Well, I believe that if the French election would have taken place with the English electoral system, Marine Le Pen would have won big. And if the British election would have taken place with the French system, well, probably they wouldn't have won. But the point is, what I think about the two electoral systems. In my opinion, the best one is the British one. Why? Because I believe that even if I'm not a laborist, as my ideas are more for a free market, but even if I'm not a laborist, I think that they deserved to win and they deserve to rule the country. Why? Because the Conservative Party, actually the Tories, showed themselves as they were laborists. As I said, I definitely prefer the British elections and the way the electoral system works in England. Why? Well, in France, there are the way the enemies of Marine Le Pen party won, put France in a ingovernability, because most of them didn't like each other, so they won't be able to run the country effectively. At the opposite, in England, there is a clear majority, and will have the opportunity to work for its citizens. And if they work well, they will be re-elected. If they do not work well, they will be sent home. That's it. So, between the two systems, in my opinion, the British one is superior. But if you listen, European people of the continental Europe, they prefer more system where everybody is elected in function of their vote, or as in France, where the will of the citizen or the will of the majority of the citizens could be manipulated in order to make some groups dominate over others. Well, if we talk to European, the continental European, for them this is a democracy. But is really a democracy that the party that won a relative majority won't be able to run the country, or actually came as a third? That's the main question. At the opposite, in England or in the United States, you have systems that the one that gets more vote is able to rule. And at the end, for citizens and for the country itself, I believe that that's much better than having a system that do not define clearly who's gonna rule and for how long will be ruling that person or that party. But let me know in the comment what you think about that and your point of view.